This is Mark Strassman, reporter with the New Iran channel. We're in Beverly Hills, California. We're about to talk to Shardad Rohani, who's a conductor and composer. Welcome to the New Iran channel.
Thank you very much.
You've just done an interview here at KRSI in Beverly Hills, and elsewhere on the New Iran channel, people will be able to listen to this in Persian. Give us just a summary about what you talked about in Persian in the interview that's close to this one.
Yes. I have an upcoming concert on January the 13th at UCLA, Royce Hall. And in that concert I will perform my own music and will conduct the orchestra. I have about 65-piece orchestra that I will be conducting. And I have a couple soloists, a young violinist, 13-year-old. His name is William Hagen. And also I have the pleasure to say that my daughter Sarah Rohani also will sing a song, a classical piece, and this is for it's a benefit concert for underprivileged children.
Okay, you're a composer and a conductor. Can you compare the difficulties and the satisfactions of conducting versus composing?
Yes, composing is something that you do on your own room with nobody around, and that's at least what I do. Nobody around, and you know, sometimes it takes years to hear what you wrote. Sometimes, you know, it's not right away. The satisfaction is not right away. Versus conducting, when you conduct a piece, you get the reaction from the audience right after the concert is over in about an hour, hour and a half. So that's the big difference, but definitely being a composer, I get so much, you know, satisfaction from creating a music, of course.
Talk a little bit more, if you can and want to, about the origins of creativity in music. Does it come to you? Do you think about it? What's the source of your musical creativity?
It's very difficult to describe it, but definitely what's going around me, what's happening in that moment, or what's happening in my life, of course, affects my creativity. But that's a puzzle for me always too. That where the idea comes. Of course, as a professional composer, I don't wait for the idea to come to me. So I start working, and some days I work for, you know, many hours without any results. Or some days I just wake up in the morning and start, you know, creating some melodies and creating some music. It's varied from day to day, but definitely I would say as a composer, I work non-stop. So
both as a composer and a conductor, what would you say the balance or relationship is between thought and feeling, both as a source of inspiration and as a result of the music that you create, in terms of what it engenders in the listeners in terms of thoughts or feelings and their relationship?
Of course, that's, I would say, music, as long as it touches you emotionally, I think it's very important. But of course, we learn, as a composer, we learn how to work with little theme. As if you analyze the great masters, so you know that they have an idea, they have a little idea, but then they created 30 minutes piece, they created a symphony just with that little ideas. But at the end, I would say whatever connects you emotionally with that piece would be very important to me as a composer.
Sort of the reverse of what I asked about how creativity creates the music. What's your thought about how the music elicits feelings in people? What's the power of music to elicit feelings in people?
I think since music is a language, I think, and it's a language that there is no boundary, and that's why if it comes, that we have a saying in Persia that we say, if it comes from your heart, it, you know, affects your heart too. So I would say that definitely all the techniques and all the education that a composer goes through, years of learning, all comes to, you know, again, how it affects you emotionally.
Okay. Your best known performance took place at the Acropolis in Athens. Tell our listeners a little bit about that. What was involved?
Yes, and I had a concert with Yanni at the Acropolis about, I would say, I think it was 10, 12 years ago. And in that concert, I was conducting the London Philharmonic Concert Orchestra. And I wrote the arrangement for that music. And also, in one piece, I played the violin. And with Karen Briggs, another violinist, we had dueling violin. And most of that part of concert was improvising. She was playing and I was, you know, playing and answering and questioning, and apparently that particular part was very well received, and so since that concert we toured in many other places, many other countries, and performed that piece, and that was a very rewarding experience because as I said, I had to arrange the music for the orchestra and with Yanni's melody, and that was very well received.
You do a lot of work with film music.
Correct.
Can you compare again the experience for you and the experience for the listeners as distinguished between concert performance in an auditorium and film music?
You know, film music is part of the sort of whole work. That means it's not, if the music, if I conduct a concert orchestra or write music for concert for halls, the music is the main focus, of course. But then versus in film music, music is enhancing what is going on the screen, and the job of a film composer is exactly that, to you know, try to enhance the emotion of the moment, of that moment, that this whatever is happening on the screen. But in concert music, of course, is not always that. It's just the music itself is the focus point, and that's the only difference. But there are many concerts that I do conduct. I conduct film music, and some music of film composers who write for films, they have their own live after film is, you know, long gone. The music is still around, and I do that also sometimes. In my concerts, I perform film music also.
We're talking to you in Beverly Hills with a small video camera. This is going to go all over the world on the internet. How do you feel the contemporary technology and means of distribution are helping you to get your musical messages distributed more easily and more widely all the time?
Of course, that's amazing. That's a blessing. Imagine if in Mozart's time or in Beethoven's time, if this technology was available, what would have happened? Nowadays, sometimes we are in some part of the world, but then recording in totally, I mean, in far away, like film music is done that way many times. The composer is sitting here in Los Angeles, for instance, and the conductor is in East Europe or in Europe conducting his music, and then they are in contact constantly, and then this is amazing how much, you know, the world is getting smaller and smaller, and you can be in contact with, you know, everybody around the world. That's amazing.
Talk in more detail about the program at Royce Hall on the 13th. What music is going to be featured?
The whole concert, except two pieces, would be my own music that I wrote for the orchestra, and I would be playing the piano. Piano is a featured instrument, and on some pieces I would be performing and conducting the orchestra while I'm playing, and also we will play a piece by Wieniawski, a violin concerto, second violin concerto in D minor. We have a young soloist, as I mentioned before. He's only 13 years old and it's amazing talent. And also my daughter will sing a song by Gluck, and the rest is all my own music.
Okay, why don't you wrap up by giving us your views on how music can bring people around the world together?
I think, as I mentioned before, since music is a language, it's international language, and you don't have to be from a particular part of the world to understand a message. So music would be the best messenger, if you will, to bring people closer to each other, to bring goods in people's life, and hopefully my music is like that. I'm definitely aiming for that, and I think that's the power of music, since it's a language without any boundary.
People in Los Angeles can hear that Music Without Boundaries on January 13th, and other people can look for you around the planet. Thanks very much for talking to us.
Thank you very much.